Welcome back to another episode of Third and Goal. Jimmy's not on the set for obvious reasons, and we got a lot of coverage for Wild Card Weekend.
Till I'm drunk, smoke till I'm high, castle on the hill, wake up in the
So let's just straight up talk about Jimmy's not here tonight, and I'm so curious. Why would you not be here this week of all weeks? What happened this weekend, mind you ask? Well, that's right. The Ravens took over the North. The Steelers were sent. They won, and they were watched crying as the Ravens sat on top. Playoff hopes out. And we're going to talk about the Steelers actually tonight because there's a lot of shit going on in Pittsburgh, and we got a whole episode for you. Let's start off with the question. Does Tomlin have control over his team?
Not really. I mean, it's hard to have a control over a team that's going the way Pittsburgh is. You know, that obviously we know the distraction Le'Veon Bell was, and then you got Antonio Brown acting out, and it's tough. I mean, they got a bunch of stars that are unhappy, and then it's kind of hard to keep everything together.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting to me because, Ravens fandom aside, the Steelers are probably one of the more talented offensive teams out there. And it's almost, not taking away from because they barely were knocked out of playoffs. We're barely in. But so much talent to lose some of the games they lost where, it looked like Ben was out there making rookie mistakes in some weeks. You have the drama with Le'Veon Bell virtually sat out the entire season. And now, the last game of the season, turns out Antonio Brown's having issues. Like, what's going on?
Well, they finished the year with 9 wins, right?
Yeah.
Well, and one was a tie. They had a tie.
Yeah.
So you look at it from that standpoint. It's not like a terrible year. It's just, but I'm with you with it. Like, given what they have on their team, they should have maybe done a little bit better and got themselves a playoff spot.
Yeah.
It wasn't. They lost the Raiders, right? That was like
they lost to the Raiders. They tied with the Browns. We blew them out, or we really beat their asses in Pittsburgh.
But like right there, if you would have won the Raiders game, which you should have won, you're
you're in the playoffs. You lost to Denver, Denver, Oakland. These are teams that aren't doing the best.
Now, granted, it's easy to go back in time and play the what if game and say if you would have done this, but reality is a 9-win team, and that doesn't guarantee a playoff spot
at all. Not today in the NFL, but Big Ben came out saying today that Le'Veon Bell was the biggest distraction of the 2018 season. I agree to a certain extent that was a big distraction in the early part of the season. But then you have James Conner who broke onto the scene and literally took off. You had your replacement. What more did you need? That's what I don't understand. It's like I understand Le'Veon Bell, not being there, and he's posting pictures of him on jet skis in Miami. But you had a workhorse in James Conner who was just kicking ass week in and week out until he had an injury. So I don't buy that excuse, honestly.
No, I don't actually, because if you look at what James Conner was doing, at least carrying the ball, he was more effective than Le'Veon Bell was the previous year. So at that point, you can't really make the argument that's like, missing Le'Veon Bell was like really fucked him over. Like, not really. Yes, it may have made them slightly less, maybe more one-dimensional. Connor's not as good as a receiving back, but at the end of the day, I think Connor was able to prove that the loss of Le'Veon Bell wasn't that big of a deal as like everyone was chalking it up.
Exactly. Of course, I think in the game against us, there was a little bit of distraction there. And we totally took the run out away from them when we played them. But again, every other game he was decent. But now you have this situation with Antonio Brown, who is arguably one of probably the top 3 NFL wide receivers right now. And, he's not returning calls. He's not following the Steelers on Twitter. He's following all these other teams and demanding trades. What do you have left if you get rid of Antonio Brown, again, who's one of the best receivers? I will admit that. And low-key hope that some miracle he comes to the Ravens. That'd be awesome. But you're left with Juju Smith. You're left with Big Ben, who's on his last ankle.
That's probably why he wants to leave, honestly. I think it's because of Big Ben, because he realizes that Big Ben, if anything, has got maybe one more year in the tank, and he's probably not going to even be that good that year. So, like, and then he's going to have to, because Antonio Brown is an older receiver, too, and he's got, you know, still a good number of years left, because receivers last longer, typically, but I think he's seeing this as the perfect opportunity to jump ship and go to a more championship caliber team.
Yeah, I definitely think before he gets to it, I mean, he turns 31, I believe, this year. Yeah, he turns 31 this year, so, I mean, you're getting up there in age. Of course, you have players like Tom Brady, who's almost 40 now. If not, I think he is 40. I'm not sure. But he's old, and he's still playing at a good level. But it's almost at the point where it's like, well, if I don't jump ship now, no one's going to take me when my contract expires. Or I'm going to lose a lot of money. So you think about, I mean, honestly, I remember I was reading about this. I think a good fit for him, honestly, would be a team like San Francisco. You got to think, Jimmy Garoppolo coming back completely healthy next year, and he has Antonio Brown. Oh my God! I'm sorry, your Rams would be in danger, buddy. He doesn't want to admit it.
Hold on a second. You do realize that the Rams and the Seahawks are both in playoffs, right? That's pretty big competition to go up against.
Jimmy Garoppolo was not playing this year, and again, if you factored in by some miracle trade Antonio Brown coming to the 49ers, you guys are worried, aren't you?
Not really.
Oh, whatever. You're full of shit, and you know it.
No. I honestly don't think that's where you want to go.
Dude, you were counting your lucky stars when Jimmy Garoppolo went down.
Why would he jump ship from the Steelers to the 49ers? I don't get it.
Well, he's following him right now on Twitter.
I mean the only way that makes sense is like, okay, it's a younger quarterback. And that makes sense, but still, like, I think Antonio Brown to lead the Steelers, he probably wants to go to just like an automatic playoff contender. Maybe he should go to the Bears, you know? Maybe the Bears could use a receiver. I mean,
that's not a bad move, honestly. You got Mitch Trubisky out there slinging that ball. I mean, fantasy-wise, Mitch was proving that he was a good thrower, so it might be a good fit.
I think he's looking at it from the perspective of, because I think Antonio Brown's I think he'll last till he's like 35, 36.
Yeah, he's got about 4 or 5 more years.
But I think he's calculating how many more years do I want to piss away on the Steelers that are declining.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm not going to turn this into the Steelers trash show. I did that enough on Facebook and Twitter this week. But, again, the Steelers definitely are in a decline in a division where it looks like the Ravens and I even say the Browns are probably going to be 2 of the top contenders going forward, honestly. So, yeah, why would he want to continue to play in one of the toughest divisions where you're most likely to have a career-ending injury and not win anything for it?
Yeah, and I mean, it'd be one thing if, like, you're a big believer in Mason Rudolph that's sitting behind Big Ben. Maybe Antonio Brown's not.
it can't. I mean, you just don't know. I mean, Mason Rudolph hasn't been active much this year at all, from what I gather, and he's not proven at all. I mean, it's exciting. Oh, a young quarterback, but nobody knows what he can do. So, I mean, hey, jump ship while you can. But again, we're not going to turn this into the Steelers shit show because there's a lot of stuff going on this weekend. It is wild card weekend. The playoffs are here. And we're going to run through the games. We're going to go old school on them. Give a couple of our predictions on who we think's going to win. But give a little insight, too, on the game. So we'll start with the Saturday games. Colts travel to Houston to take on the Texans. Who wins the South, Justin?
I'm going to say the Colts, actually. I think, you look at the fact that they have such a great offensive line in Andrew Luck, and now they're figuring out how to run the ball with Marlon Mack. I think they got a shot here.
I agree. I think the Colts definitely are at least my pick to win. Honestly, I'm not going to get too ahead, so I won't go in too deep into scenarios and what could get my team another home game. But I think the Colts, honestly, Andrew Luck is probably the better quarterback here, and they've been hot. They've been in a groove lately, and I think it's enough to take on the Texans. Now, again, Texans offense, though, something serious. Can the Colts defense really, shut them down?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think picking the Colts here is kind of picking the underdog, especially given the fact that, I mean, they're the away team also. Mm-hmm. But I just got a funny feeling that this one will get into one of those situations where Andrew Luck, just out-throws them.
Yeah, in a shootout, more of Andrew Luck. So next up, the Seahawks travel to Dallas to take on the Cowboys, which I think could be the potential game of the day, at least for Saturday. can Dallas's defense be enough to stop the Seahawks?
This is really tough to project for me. I mean, it's, Dallas at home, and Dallas has been seemingly on a tear ever since they got Amari Cooper, from what I can tell.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go with Dallas here. But again, I think that, the Seahawks are still a formidable opponent, so we'll have to see what happens.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Seahawks. At the end of the day, it comes down to Dak Prescott. Can Dak Prescott win a playoff game? The Cowboys, historically, at least in the last, it's 2019, last 20 years, have not been good at the playoffs. So, can Dak win the playoffs? With the weapons he got, he should. But is he going to be able to manage a game good enough to get past the Seahawks? That's my question. I can't say yes, so I'm going to go with the Seahawks. Of course, the biggest game, at least in this area, Chargers travel to Baltimore to take on the Ravens, where Lamar Jackson is the youngest QB to start in a playoff game at 21 years old. How awesome is that? What a stat. But who do you have? Can lightning strike twice?
I'm going with Baltimore. I mean, it's a home for Baltimore, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so I mean, it's going to be really tough for Phillip Rivers, who's not known to be a postseason quarterback, to come in there and make some noise in this game. But again, you can't write off anyone in the playoffs. We all know this. But yeah, I just don't see him getting it done in M&T Bank. And also, I look at the fact that how Lamar Jackson's playing. I heard someone on radio say that like his style, like what the team's doing right now, is not sustainable over like seasons and seasons. But for a playoff stretch, hell, your quarterback can run it 20 times and you might not get hurt. I mean,
yeah. And so I'm going to go with the Ravens. Obviously, the jersey says it all in every show we do. But my thing is, this offense that they're running, it's something that has not been seen in the NFL, or at least to the degree it's being ran. I mean, of course, glimpses of triple options have been ran, jet sweeps, you name it. Variations have been done, but to just go 100% with it, I mean, it's something impressive, and defense have not been able to do it. And the thing about it is, and the biggest worry I always have with the Ravens is their offensive line. Lamar Jackson takes that offensive line issue and throws it out the door, because he can make plays on his feet to slide past most defenders. Joey Bosa, I watched, literally he slid off of Joey Bosa in San Diego, who's arguably one of the best defensive linemen out there. Lamar Jackson made him look like a rookie. So I think when you factor in Lamar Jackson's athleticism, maybe throw in a couple of more pass plays just for shits and giggles, I think the Ravens could do it again. Yeah, defense comes lights out, gets in Phillip Rivers' face. Why not?
I think for the Chargers to win this game, either they're gonna have to hurt Lamar Jackson, or they're gonna have to put up the perfect game plan to contain him and not let him run it all. Yeah. And it's gonna be really tough to do. And even if they do that, that makes you ask the question: how does Phillip Rivers put up a good amount of points in that Ravens defense?
I don't think it's possible. I mean, yes, the secondary suffered last week, and we'll get into that on our episode of Charm City Beat this week. But I don't think that's going to happen this week. And even still, I remember, the Browns actually kind of did this thing where they would stack the box up, and the D lineman would pinch in the gaps, and it would take away that gut run that they've been doing. Well, honestly, if you do it enough times, it opens up pass routes, because you have too many players in the box. You can take away the run. He can just throw it to Mark Andrews all day. It's a wrap. I mean, there's ways around it where I think, honestly, the Ravens have the upper hand here. I'm excited for it. But again, like I said, we got more of that in our other show. Next up, Eagles travel to Chicago. Can magic happen for Nick Foles again, year 2 in a row?
Personally, I'm not going to bet on it. The Chicago defense is serious.
Jesus.
And their offense is good enough. I mean, it all depends, man. Like the Eagles... Because I saw, the Eagles definitely lit a fire under their ass when they played my Rams earlier in the year.
Yeah.
If they can bring that same kind of energy to this, maybe they can squeak out a win. But I definitely think they're the underdogs here.
Yeah, they're definitely the underdogs. But without a question, they're barely in the playoffs. No one, let's see, mid-season, did you see them here? No. But my thing is, you have a situation with Nick Foles where the team is playing amazing. We talked about this last week a little bit. if Nick Foles can somehow squeak out a miracle in Chicago, what does that mean when Carson Wentz returns in the offseason? Do they keep him? Do they let him go and see what they can get for a trade for him? What do they do? I mean, it creates a lot of questions for me, honestly. But again, you're talking about one of the best defenses, especially at getting to the quarterback in the Bears. The chances are slim for the Eagles. I'm rooting for the Eagles, but the chances are very, very slim.
Well, to kind of answer your question, I think without a doubt, even if Carson Wentz was healthy to come back, I mean, you definitely play Nick Foles the entire playoffs here.
Mm-hmm.
You got to roll with him again. In the offseason, that's an interesting question. I'm not familiar with how much longer Wentz has on his contract, if it would even be really worth it to get rid of him or maybe just hold on him a little bit longer.
Yeah.
But, I mean, he is more like the future of the team. I mean, I'm not sure how many years Foles would have left and how good he's going to play at this stage of his career, but definitely Foles for the playoffs this year, no doubt.
Yeah, I think they're going Foles in the playoffs, no question, but I'm interested to see this offseason. Of course, we'll probably be covering, obviously. But, yeah, I mean, we got a pretty interesting week. So that brings us to our game ball of the week. And I can't think of anybody better than who had the biggest play at the perfect moment than C.J. Mosley, who caught the game-winning interception against the Browns to boost the Ravens to the playoffs.
Watching a 4th and 10, and here they come. Mayfield's pass is intercepted by Mosley, and the Ravens are going to take the division.
There you go. Good luck to you this weekend. I'm excited. I mean, you watched it. I hope you did because you were texting me the whole damn time we were watching. I'm watching the game at home. Are you nervous? Are you nervous? No, I'm not nervous. Fuck that. We're good. We're good. All of a sudden, C.J. Mosley catches an interception. I literally lifted up my wife and ran around our living room screaming because I was so excited. Ross was telling me at the game it was just like complete insanity. I mean, how awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is the perfect situation of a game ball recipient that gets it for the perfect play rather than just the stat line, right? I mean, it's just one of those plays where it's because I've seen the Browns march up the field, I'm like, shit, all they gotta do is kick a field goal, and they
10
win
yards
the game.
away.
I mean, and next thing you know, an amazing play to stops that.
I mean, it was just unreal. I am sitting there, I'm literally. Shit, here's Justin fucking me and texting me. Stop texting me, number one. Number two, oh my God, stop it right here. I mean, literally just rushing down the field. I'm like, oh crap. Also interception, I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it. Most unbelievable play probably of this season for me. Definitely deserving of the game ball. And that does it for our show. Whether you're watching on thisislitTube.com or YouTube, thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share. And stay tuned for so much more. We got a brand new episode of Charm City Beat where we actually covering the Ravens and also news in Maryland. So yeah, stay tuned. And go Ravens.
Now watch me fly. Now watch me fly. You can't tell me I ain't fly. I know I'm super fly. I know I'm super fly.